This is my time, faster than ever, hungry and I'm going to come back and take what is mine, bigger and better. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. Some things are different, but nothing has changed. Still got my number, still got my name. Tell everybody I'm back in the game. Saddle, cut to the chase. I ain't somebody who stays in one place. Ready to go, I'm coming to play. You better know I still got something to say. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. Some things are different, but nothing has changed. Still got my number, still got my name. Tell everybody I'm back in the game. match I couldn't handle. No one else could ever hold a candle. Get ready for a battle, cause you know that I was born for this. I was born for this. Never met a match I couldn't handle. No one else could ever hold a candle. Get ready for a battle, 'cause you know I was born. I tell you I was born for this. Ain't nothing gonna stop me now. I was born for this.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Wednesday night short track racing action as the Crown Jewel Late Model Stock Car Series going to be hitting Myrtle Beach here tonight. Presented by LSRTV. Myrtle Beach, a racetrack that was here for so long, but it's been taken away back in 2020. But a track here on iRacing that the drivers at least get to drive a little bit of history here in the late models. It's going to be a fun one here tonight. We're back to 200 lap action to finish out this season for tonight and the last two races of the Crown Jewel Late Model Stock Car Series. But it's going to be fun here on LSR TV. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is John Mustian Jr., as well as our usual producer of Charles Wooten in the background. John, it's exciting racing here tonight. It's good to have you back in the booth for another race.
Man, the Dirty Myrtle, Sam. I used to love this place. Still love it. I mean, it doesn't exist anymore, like you said. We just got the sim racing version now, but it is one of the most uniquely shaped short track venues that these guys will see on the schedule. And man, it was the home of the Busch Grand National Series for so long. Some National Series drivers way back in the 40s and 50s cut their teeth here. So, man, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun night tonight.
It's certainly...
Isn't it Wesley around here somewhere, like down at the concession stand, maybe?
Well, he's the guy that we've brought in to be our analyst for such a big night, for such a historic track here at Myrtle Beach. We brought in Wesley Outland to give us some more history as well as knowledge on the drivers. Wesley, it's good to have you up in the booth as well.
August 16th, 2020. I had the privilege to be in the broadcast booth for many Myrtle Beach 400s and South Carolina 250s. And that was the final race. That was the Sun Fun 101. It was won by Sam Yarborough with a battle of 36 late models. There was a lot of cheers, but there was a lot more of tears. However, thanks to this virtual simulation known as iRacing, John and Samuel, you can be able to reminisce and make your own racing history at the 5/8 mile Myrtle Beach Speedway on the Grand Strand of the Palmetto State. This will be a fun race. It's a flat racetrack. That means it's not banked. That's going to be a lot of aggressive driving we'll see tonight for 200 laps.
200 laps is our featured race. We've got a little bit of stuff to get done before then. We've got ourselves qualified, potentially an LCQ race if we have enough drivers, and that's going to be the big thing for us to watch out for. John, we've seen a lot of history throughout this series. This is race number 8 of the season, and we've seen a lot of drivers come up, a lot of racing action where we've seen a lot of intentional wrecking. Rivalries have been building up. Here tonight, we're bringing back some of those rivalries. Dustin Monbriquet's back after a little bit of vacation for the 16, and he's going to be attacking that of Alex McCullum, who finally got into victory lane that we saw that last week, as well as the driver that's been the most consistent all throughout this season, that of Justin Brooks. That 33 machine's looking strong, and those drivers, they're top of the board here for practice as we are less than 2 minutes away from qualifying.
Yes, they are. They're 1, 2, and 3. Alex, Justin, and Dustin, respectively. And yes, they bring their baggage or drama or whatever you want to call it in tonight. But hey, it wouldn't be short track racing at the Dirty Myrtle if there wasn't a little bit of, hey, I owe you one, buddy. I'm going to get you tonight kind of stuff going on. So yeah, we're going to have some fun tonight.
And as for tonight, it's under the lights. Let's take a look at our weather as you see that of the ambient air temperature. Going to be 80 degrees Fahrenheit. A little bit of a breeze, 9 miles per hour. but it's going to be that track temp of 81 for the drivers that they're going to be handling. And John, that's almost for night racing. Perfect weather for these drivers.
It is a beautiful night for racing indeed, Sam. And as somebody who spent a couple of nights in the grandstands of the real Dirty Myrtle, iRacing nailed this track so well when they built the simulated version of it, between the lighting and just the sky with the beautiful colors, the sunset, and man, it's just, I'm getting goosebumps just watching these guys now, man. Kind of wishing I was back there one more time.
It certainly is one of those tracks where we're so happy to have it on the virtual side of things. All the drivers getting their practice in. Wesley, we're going to throw it over to you. There's a lot of newcomers coming into this race. We've also seen a lot of drivers that have been here throughout the season, but who are some of the drivers that you're eyeing that have performed well in real life and might be performing well here tonight?
Well, you got to think of some of the real names that are real racers on this series, and obviously don't count out South Carolina's Justin Brooks. He knows this track very, very well. I'm surprised to see that Kelly is not here, who started the season racing with the Tour, but Kelly is not in attendance. The 75 normally racing on the series, and a guy that really done well at Myrtle Beach Speedway. Ryan Kuhn, maybe some success. Brett Suggs with, some knowledgeable racing in the Allison Legacy cars at Myrtle Beach Speedway. But some of these names, I would have to say Alex McCullen is going to be somebody to watch tonight, and he's already won a couple of races on the series this year.
Yeah, Alex McCullum always was one of my favorites to watch out for. As practice is concluded, we now get to qualifying, and for qualifying, it's going to be our top 16 on speed that we're going to be watching for. They automatically move on to our featured event. Then after that, we'll have ourselves an LCQ, or the top 4 from the LCQ move on to our featured race. But for all these drivers, they have 4 laps for qualifying to find the fastest lap of those 4 laps. That will be the lap time that they have up on the board to see where they get placed. And John, another thing, top 12 once again is going to be inverted at the start of the race. So if you qualify high, you're going to be placed in the middle of this field.
I'll tell you what, the invert led to some great drama last week when we were at Hickory Motor Speedway. So I look forward to watching this tonight, see if anybody here can time it just right and come in around 10th through 12th. And if anybody else is just going to say the heck with it, I'm going to go get what I can get.
Yeah, the driver that's really figured out how to kind of play the game here this season has been that of Justin Brooks, who's really found a way to just place himself in that top 10 position. And then with that better, invert than placing him in the front row, or at least in the second row. He's done a great job of saving and staying up front. But a driver that we know that can qualify fast, Dustin Monbriquet. Talked about how he's been gone for a couple of weeks. Well, the 16 is always going to be a threat on track to try to go for a win. And I'm expecting him to do so, but already scraping the wall, maybe feeling like he needs a little bit of damage if he wants to go fast here for his first lap.
That's one of those on-track adjustments we talk about in fixed setup racing. Just go up there and slap that right rear end into a little bit, loosen up. Wow, way out there sideways that time. He's getting everything he can out of this car.
And maybe a little bit too much.
Yeah, he's going to stop and reset right here. Hey, real quick, I have a question. I want to poke at Wesley. Wesley, you there?
Always. Yeah, I just came back from the snack bar.
Yeah, I'll bet you do. I'm gonna read off 3 names to you, and I want you to tell me what they have in common. Are you ready?
Go ahead.
Ned Jarrett, Buck Baker, and David Pearson.
All with wins at Myrtle Beach Speedway and their first NASCAR career starts.
God, he's good. God, he's good.
That's why he's our analyst guy. That is why we brought Wesley in.
I was looking at the track information for Myrtle Beach on racingreference.info, and those are some of the Cup stars that have won there. They got some other names: Rob Moroso, Jimmy Spencer, Mark Martin, Chuck Bound, Jeff Burton, guys that we all know from the Cup Series. Elliott Sally, those guys have all won here at the Dirty Myrtle. And I just wanted to check and see if our boy was awake down there.
Always.
And we'll get Wesley in periodically throughout the night. As here's Alexander Rowe, who's going to be on track for the 92. One of the drivers that we have a couple of them going to be coming out for the first start of the season. Also saw that 66 of Kendrick Cryer, who's on track for himself, as well as driver that's top of the board currently. That's going to be Blake Neer, who is doing quite well for himself. See the 92 doing a little bit of strategy, trying to warm up these tires and brakes before he even gets out of pit road, as resets and tries to go for another round. This of Rowe.
Yeah, what warming up those tires and brakes does, it's going to get that car, I would say, a little bit less grip, but it gets those tires just really ready for a good hard run. That's something that they've really started looking at hard in qualifying procedures in most series. It's something you should set in the. Oh, wow, look at that. These guys are really loose tonight. You see that, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, that exit of the corner is going to be the troublesome spot. But if they're already this loose by themselves and Rowe already say, you know what, let's just call it a time there and have to reset once again. Only having 3 more laps to go is that 92, so got to be careful. Wants to put a time down for that of Rowe, as looking at the amount of drivers that have made it to this session, John, looking like the LCQ might only be a positional race, might not be knocking out any drivers, but certainly you want to qualify as well as you can. But with coming up to 5 minutes left, currently it's going to be that of Dustin Mavercat, who's found himself top of the board for now. But drivers that are around that near spot of being knocked into the LCQ, got to be Charles Roth as well as Peyton Howell, for Peyton Howell, he had a great run last week at Hickory. He's probably hoping to find a little bit more speed out of this 052, but he's going to have to start further in the field.
Yeah, it looks that way. Right now we've got 14 cars that have taken time, leaving 6 guys that have not. That's Alex McCollum, Justin Brooks have not taken times, Cameron Ruggles, some big names there.
I mean, they are looking good to be trying to see how fast they can go here, especially for Justin Brooks. I'm expecting him to go out on track with maybe 3 minutes to 2.5 minutes left. Try to take that late push, trying to figure out where the window is to place himself perfectly in that 11th or 12th place position. But Wesley, for this track, Myrtle Beach certainly is going to be a good one. 200 laps, that seems like quite a long race for these drivers. But how are you feeling for the drivers, especially in the fact that we do have 2 stages, lap 55 and 110. Those are the only times that they can take tires.
But here's my only problem. The true Myrtle Beach 400, which, by the way, if you want to go back into the history of the real Myrtle Beach 400, it used to be a NASCAR Slim Jim All-Pro Series event, truly 400 miles. Then they went back in like 2003, and they went into the late model stock car format. Now, the Myrtle Beach 400, though, is usually, John and Samuel, a 250-lap slugfest with the late models. But the 400 comes in where they have 2 50-lap qualifying races and then 1 50-lap last chance race. That's where you really add in those 400 laps. But this is 200 laps. It's on virtual iRacing. It's still going to be a good number. You got to pace yourself, what we talked about. Oh, and by the way, look out for that infield grass, just like we see on the big speedways for our iRacing broadcast. Those drivers take advantage of it. They hit that grass. They might go on the wall. But this is a flat track, so you got to be conservative. You got to be patient. If you can do that, you'll be the driver we'll be talking to at the end. But again, you got to have patience. You can't just sell it off in there on the first turn and cause a big pileup. I've seen that happen a lot of times in real life at Myrtle Beach Speedway. And if somebody can do something like that tonight, it can repeat itself. But it's all about patience here. This is a big track. I know we were kind of talking about in our pre-race meeting. It's 5/8 of a mile. This is a super speedway term, if you will, Samuel, for tracks that are normally half mile or 3/8 mile or maybe smaller than that, 4/10. So this is a racetrack that you got to be patient. If you're not patient, you're going to go to the back. And remember, there's no fast repairs in this series either.
Yeah, no fast repairs is going to be a big thing for these drivers, as we're still waiting for qualifying to come to a conclusion. But here on LSRTV, hey, we're looking for producers. We're looking for announcers. We're trying to build up our crew even bigger. And if you'd like to join the team, hey, any experience level, we'd love to have you part of the LSRTV crew and team. Go over to that ElysimRacingTV.com and go apply. Hey, again, any type of level of commentating, if you're brand new, experienced, we'd love to have you as an announcer. And as well, we're looking for producers. We're trying to fill up as many days, times we can throughout the week to give you all the racing action. So we need as many producers as possible. Thank you to everyone that's watching here on LSR TV. Qualifying currently underway for that of the Myrtle Beach 400. And then once this qualifying is done, we're going to most likely have a small little LCQ for 20 laps, where we're going to have ourselves 3 drivers racing for positioning reasons, as we are here for that of the Crown Jewel E-Late Model Stock Car Series. This is race number 8. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, the LCQ right around the corner.
Hey, it's broadcast personality Wesley Outland, and for the second year in a row, the Community Radio Network is excited to also be the voice of iRacing on LSRTV every Monday and Thursday night with the Northwest Racing Series for Cup and Truck. Join yours truly, Justin Prince and Samuel Dyer, every week as they race towards a championship. We're also on the radio in the Triangle in the Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina area at 87.5 WCRN and anywhere worldwide at wearecrn.com. Click play. Check out the coverage, the power of radio to the imagination of the listener, esports style. We are the Community Radio Network, the voice of iRacing on LSRTV. Check it out when you can, and replays are always up too. It's broadcast personality Wesley Outland up topside at one of the great racetracks of the world, the Caraway Speedway. And I'd like to remind you to join us every Wednesday afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern to 3 p.m. Eastern with coverage of Finish Line, where we talk to everybody from NASCAR to grassroots, like right here at Caraway Speedway, Carolina's Fox Sports Radio affiliates, iHeartRadio, and on the Community Radio Network at 87.5 FM. And remember, thanks to Live Sim Racing Productions, you can actually see the guest panel, ask their questions, get interactive with us with comments and so much more in our chat box. Finish Line every Wednesday. Join us every week.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Crown Jewel E-Late Model Stock Car Series. This is race number 8 this evening, as the drivers just got finished up with qualifying, and believe we might be having ourselves a 20-lap LCQ race. Just a little bit of a teaser for these drivers. We're still waiting for admins to see if this is confirmed or not, if we're going to continue racing. But we do have ourselves about 3 drivers that could be hitting the course, and those drivers are going to be starting at the end of the line. But John, as we're waiting to see for confirmation if we are going to be racing this LCQ, if it does happen, certainly should give us at least a small preview of what at least our top 3 drivers, once they pull away, how they should be running with one another.
Absolutely. This is what we saw last week as well. We saw, guys using the LCQ just to see how strong they can, or how hard they can run the car, and what they can get done in a short amount of laps. So we'll probably see the exact same thing tonight.
As drivers are starting to grid up our 4 drivers, we'll take a look at who they are getting ready for the LCQ. Again, this is going to be a 20-lap LCQ event, and it's going to be that of Charles Roth as well as Robbie Keneally. If Keneally decides to log in, looks like this 001 not going to be able to do so. Then we got race control that might be hitting the course with that of Alexander Rowe, who's going to be starting in the 92. So only about 3 drivers logged into this race, and there is that of the race control vehicle on track running the 1, but on our ticker is going to be the 3 zeros. And we've seen race control out there, John. Usually race control running that of the choose cone.
The choose car, yeah.
But now we're able to get on track for a little bit of racing here.
Well, as an admin, a prior admin myself, sometimes you watch these guys like, boy, I could do this better. So I guess he's going to get out there and see if he can do it better.
And for that of the race control vehicle, all they have to do is just finish in 3rd, and they will at least be in that last row. Should not be giving any problems to the drivers if Robbie Keneally decides to log in. Again, normally the LCQ is more than 4 drivers, and it's only the top 4 that move on to our featured race. All the drivers that are running right now will move on. Race control will just be running race control for our featured race. Pace truck is off, and let's get a little bit of preview for here at Myrtle Beach as the drivers are slowly pacing at the moment. And out of turn 2, John, it looks like for at least that of seeing Rowe, he's deciding it's time to go. Same for that of control car. They're taking off. Don't know actually who's running control car. They change it up each and every week, and it looks like control car wants to take off. I know we've seen Ryan Kuhn run as race control some weeks. We've seen plenty of other drivers that take a week off. They'll be running control. But here tonight, we get to see a little bit of preview of how these drivers are going to be running as we're coming up to 18 laps to go here in our LCQ. All drivers will be moving on to our featured event, but it's all about positioning. Wherever you finish, that is where you're going to be inside of our last of 2 to 3 positions.
Like I said right before they went green, this is a test session, and race control probably thought, you know what, I can go out there and show these guys what they can do, and I think he's doing that right now. This is a great time for people like maybe Rowe or Roth. Either one of these guys maybe got a whole lot of laps under practice, so now they're out there just those 2-3 cars, and they don't have to worry about running into anybody. They can drive the car any way they want to and see where it runs best for them. I like how the 92's got just one white fender. That's just, it's such a realistic paint job when you stop and think about it,
I mean, all you have to get those repairs in. You never know if you just need to put a slab on there and change up the sheet metal. You never know what you're going to buy.
You know what? It's funny. As a painter, I had a customer one time. This was way back when the iRacing guys first came out with the late model stock cars. And every week he'd send me pictures of the week before what his car looked like from the race. And he'd say, all the fenders that are smashed up, I want you to paint them primer gray. So every week he would start his car with a new panel painted a primer gray to resemble where he might have had to replace it in real life. I just thought that was so cool.
That is one of the most unique ways to go throughout a season. I mean, if
and he paid me $5 a pop. And he paid me $5 a pop to do that. So,
I mean, if you can find a painter like yourself that's patient enough to work with a driver throughout the season, I would love to see that for every driver, just to see how banged up their cars truly are, because there's some drivers, some seasons that are just, those cars would be all gray by the end of the season. But Wesley, looking at this track, we haven't talked about it yet. We're going to talk about it now. There are the turtles that we see on this course on the entry of turn 1 that the drivers are going to have to be slightly concerned about if they drive a little bit too low. And also for the drivers, how many times have you seen races where it is only about 3 to 4 drivers on track for an LCQ or just for a warmed-up trial?
Never. I will say this much, though. For these drivers that are taking advantage of this 20-lap last chance qualifier, and by the way, unofficially, I believe it is Virginia's Caleb Hall, Samuel, that is the race director, race control car, going around the racetrack right now, leading the way. And he does enjoy his leisure time running iRacing as well when he's not race directing for the Crown Jewel E Late Model Stock Series. But no, man, you would think that, John, tell me if I'm wrong. Normally, a last chance race at Myrtle Beach consists of 20 cars or more. So, it's different. But for these guys that are on this track right now, I would say take advantage of this opportunity, Samuel and John. Use this. Get familiar with where you need to run in the corners, backing off on the corners, showing your strengths, whether you need to run the top side of the racetrack or the bottom of the racetrack. Avoid those turtles, those rumble strips, if you will. And those rumble strips, Samuel, are only in the apex of 1 and 2. That's it. So if you can be able to take care of all this as we're under 10 laps to go, this could be a really good practice session for you to prepare for the big 200 lapper next.
Absolutely. And you know what? I'm gonna take it a step further as far as the turtles go that Sam and you touched on. As a driver who recently raced a super late model race here at Myrtle Beach in the Sim 500, or was it 500? Yeah, I think it was. I got spun in the 1 and 2, and my car stopped with the rear end on top of a turtle, and I was stuck. I had to take a tow. So those turtles can be a pain in the butt, pardon my French. Literally, if the rear end of the car stops just right on top of that turtle, you're not going anywhere.
We talk about drivers in real life now, especially with the real life, NASCAR next-gen vehicles, drivers getting beached. Well, you easily can be beached on these turtles, which as John talked about. And, that's always going to be a factor, I think, for some of these drivers, especially on the aggressive level that we've seen throughout this season. I wouldn't be surprised if one of these drivers really tried to dig it down low and accidentally hit a turtle here tonight, especially if you're trying to gain every position possible and you can't make that outside lane work. As it's all there. That's exactly what I'm expecting to see for some of these drivers, especially when we get in those last 20 laps of this race.
Yeah, the 92 just did that. He cut it real sharp right there, got the left front on, didn't seem to upset his car too much right there. Now, here's the thing, Sam, or maybe Wesley might know this. Sam, you might know this. Did they apply the damage model to the late models this last time by?
Well, the most recent update, there was not a lot of updates that went onto this, onto the late models. I don't believe there was anything touched on these cars. There was nothing touched that much onto Myrtle Beach itself either. So not a lot has changed with these cars. There have been a couple of setup changes at some other courses. I don't believe anything was changed for the next gen. I mean, for these late models. I know a lot was changed for the next gen here on iRacing. So for a lot of these drivers, I think they're still feeling comfortable that nothing's changed that much.
Well, I can tell you the ARCA car, all the cars with the damage model enabled have the same damage model now, basically. Suspension pieces break, transmissions, go out, and crazy stuff like that. And it's too bad they didn't do it on the late models, because those are the cars that we would see damaged the most. But the reason I had asked is because the white flag's coming out. You're right. Final lap here in the 2-lap shootout.
Last lap here for ourselves, and race control said, you know what? I'll put myself on that front row of at least the late models. This is going to be the second to last position for race control, and race control will not be running or racing for our featured 200 laps. But for second and third place, that's where we're going to be finding that of Alexander Rowe as well as Charles Roth. And if he decides to show up, will be Robbie Keneally moving on as well, as we're now entering our 5 minutes of warm-up for the drivers. So those that were not a part of the LCQ and already are qualified for the featured race, they're now going to be having about 5 minutes, hit the course, get warmed up, feel comfortable again about this racetrack after a little bit of time of just sitting and waiting. And for us, we got 5 minutes to chit-chat about this racetrack. I know, John, you were on a talking point before the LCQ ended, and I'll give the floor back to you on what you were asking about.
Oh, no, I was just curious because that damage model is just so realistic now that I would be very hesitant to put my left or right front on any kind of a object like the turtles here, because, man, as a guy who broke his right front suspension in practice driving the Xfinity car, I think it was the Xfinity car, might have been the Cup car, I can't remember. Sometime this weekend I was in a race and I hit the wall hard enough to break the right front. The car don't turn no more. It's so realistic now. It's just insane. But if they didn't apply it to late model, that's too bad, because these cars would be so fun to watch as they drop pieces on the track everywhere. Yeah,
I know that they've had the biggest updates for the longest time was on the late models. We got to see a lot of sheet metal being flown around. I know the suspension has always been the biggest factor for these cars. Whenever they get required damage, that's going to be something to watch out for, as well as the bumping on top of one another. A lot of that we're expecting. And Wesley, I know you've watched a lot of races here. You've called a lot of races. The bump and run, are we expecting to see a lot of that here tonight?
Oh, without a doubt. What are you talking about?
I was going to say, what kind of question was that?
This is a flat track. You're going to see the bump and run. You're going to see some aggressive racing.
Hey, you never know who's watching these races. You never know if someone doesn't know or not. I know this. We gotta let people know. What are we gonna see here tonight?
You're gonna see violence, people. Lots of vehicle-on-vehicle violence.
You're exactly right. Hey, John, I gotta try to stump you now, okay? And I'm actually gonna give you an easy one. And Samuel, you can play along as well as everybody at home too. You're just not gonna win anything. I'm not like Clint Boyer and gonna give away money. All right, so here you go. Who was the driver that had a fierce battle in the NASCAR late model stocks with Robert Powell? Okay, Charlie Powell from Florence Motor Speedway in Somerville, his son, Robert Powell. Who was the driver that he battled week in, week out before he made it into NASCAR at Myrtle Beach Speedway?
Can we get a hint of the year?
Yeah, I'm going to need a year maybe.
Late 90s, right to early 2000.
I'll let you know, I was still trying to figure out how diapers worked at that time, so I would not know.
I'm going to guess probably Dale Jr.
He got it! He got it, yes!
You just segued into something I was going to talk about. Junior never won at Myrtle, but damn, he had some great races in late model cars at Myrtle Beach. A lot of great racing with Dale Jr. Cutting his teeth, if you will, here at Myrtle and Hickory, as a matter of fact.
And that is exactly the type of racing we're hoping to see here tonight, as these drivers in their final minute and 40 seconds of warm-up before we get ourselves into that of our featured event. 200 laps is going to be clocked here tonight. As for these drivers, it's going to be a long one. Hey, for a lot of these drivers, they might have to go get some setups after tonight, as there is a ton of them to go grab at that of the Majors Garage. Over 60 plus iRacing car setups are available. Some are help you to be baseline, some of the fastest setups out there on iRacing. Go into that of our chat or into that of the broadcast description to go get your link to go check out the Majors Garage. They've got plenty of setups to find in as well. There's also coaching that can be found. There's some drivers that are part of the Coca-Cola series. There's also drivers from all around the world that are willing to give you coaching advice from anywhere from road courses to oval racing. Go over the Majors Garage for setups, coaching, and many more to be found as we're in our final 40 seconds here of warm-up before our 200 lap race. And John, I know we've talked about it. We've seen it happen a lot. It's all about tires for these drivers. They're only going to have 2 opportunities to come in and take their one and only set in pit road, stage 1 or stage 2. We've seen a lot of the drivers think about coming in for stage 1 or stage 2. Which time would you prefer to come in and grab your set of tires?
Well, I'm one of those drivers, Sam, that tries to take care of his tires for the first half of a race, regardless of how many sets I've got. So, and I saw a lot of that last week at Hickory. We saw guys that really try to take care of their tires until after that second stage break. So I'm going to guess that's what's going to happen tonight. We're going to see some guys try to play it smart on tires, maybe not be really overly aggressive until that second stage break, and then they'll probably take those fresh tires and unleash the beast, as it were.
Well, warm-up is concluding. Wesley, I'll give you your chance and thoughts here. What are you expecting to see for these 200 laps here tonight?
Patience is the key, but don't be surprised if you don't see the bump and run. Back to you, Samuel.
Well, drivers are set. Again, want to let you know it was inverted top 12 on where you qualified. So if you got the pole during qualifying, you're going to the middle and back half of the field. The drivers that qualified in 12th and 11th, they get to start up front. And that's where we find the 33, Justin Brooks. He's been playing the system, and he played it again. This time going to be on that pole position for the 33 with Austin Teal to his outside in the 09. Then in row number 2, that's where we find Alex Gratz, as well as that of Kendrick Cryer going to be in the 66 to his outside in row 2. Row 3 is going to be that of Matthew Brinson, as well as Steele Langford in the 133. Row 4 going to be that of Cameron Ruggles, as well as Bradley Wilson in the 51. And row number 5, finishing out our top 10, it's going to be Drew Cox, as well as Blake Neer in the 1.
Inside row 6 going to be Dustin Monberquette. We're going to watch him tonight. He's got a bone to pick with a couple of drivers out there. To his outside, Alex McCollum in the 8 car. Inside row 7 is going to be Chase Johnson in the 83. To his outside, Scotty Bryant in the number 50 car. Inside row 8 going to be Angel Ortega in the 10 car. To his outside, Peyton Howell in the 052. Inside row 9, we find Race Control. Not sure if he's actually going to start the race or not, but he's there. Outside of him will be Alexander Rowe in the 92. And bringing up shotgun on the field will be 49 of Charles Roth. To his outside, if he shows up, it'll be Robbie Keneally in the 001.
There's going to be a couple of drivers that are actually going to be starting in pit road if they decide to log in. That's going to be Angel Ortega, as well as Peyton Howell and Robbie Keneally. All 3 drivers did not make it into our grid. So that of Rowe as well as Roth, both going to be able to move up to 15th and 16th position. Justin Brooks going to be up front, ready to get rolling, and he's been playing that of a little bit of sandbagging, trying to place himself as close to up front as possible. And he waits till the very last moment to qualify, and he did it again, and was able to qualify exactly in 12th position. How much can he hold off the rest of the field? Can Teal hold off the rest of the field on the outside? Pace truck is up, and it's ready. It's time to run our virtual Myrtle Beach 400 here for the Crown Jewel Elite Model Stock Car Series. We're green, and already Teal is gone for that 09.
Wow, Teal just got a great start right there. I don't know if Brooks fell asleep or what, but great start for Austin Teal right there as we get out to single file right now. But I tell you what, Sam, this won't last long. I predict we're going to see guys right now starting to fade out to the outside and try that outside and see how strong it is.
Well, Teal had that of the lead for a quick moment, and in less than a lap, he's already back to second. That 09 was not able to hold off Justin Brooks for long. Already going to be single filing out for the majority of this field. but seeing our drivers, those trying to poke a little bit higher than we expected, but a lot of drivers trying to get as low as possible through the corners, battling for seconds on as well as the middle of the field where we're expecting a lot of bumping and banging happening. All the drivers with speed are coming in. Teal off the wall. Here comes the 09 falling back.
Wow, that's a hard hit right there for Teal. That 09 got his momentum taken away by that contact. In the meantime, the 51 car of Bradley Wilson, I almost said Justin Wilson, but Bradley Wilson got right up on the tail end there. We see here another battle. The 09 down the inside now. That's the car we just talked about. Austin Teal trying to get by the 52 right there of Cameron Ruggles. Cameron with a new paint job this week, it looks like, Sam.
A lot of rubbing that's going on as Ruggles got to be careful as they might go 3 wide. And here comes Dustin Mombercat poking his nose and backing out. Smart move by the 16, who's going to be trying to move up as fast as possible as well. You're going to have that of Alex McCullum, winner from last week, trying to pick where they want to place themselves as you're right on board with that of Dustin Mombercat in the 16. Get a point of view as he's going to go once again, poking that nose 3 wide, 2 for the price of 1. Down into turn number 1 is going to be the 16.
Not so fast, Sam. The 09 is not going to give that up quite so easily. They bump right there. Oh, Teal back to the outside wall again. He's going to have to check up right here and bottleneck the outside line.
Driver got the most hits from that. Could actually be Bradley Wilson, who in the 51, a lot of front end damage for himself. But Mombercat making pass on Teal, and here comes McCullum following the 16 once again in tow. But here comes the pinch from Teal. Will Teal get hit again on the exit of the corner? McCullum holds off, stays low. A lot more patience being shown from this 8 machine, and I'm liking to see this from Alex McCullum because I feel like that over-aggression really was hurting him for the majority of the season. That win last week really has calmed the sensations of this 8.
And real quick, Sam, remind our viewers of stage breaks tonight.
Stage 1 going to be on that at lap 55. Stage 2, lap 110. It's at the end of those laps. And we're going to be seeing those drivers. The only opportunities they can come into pit road and take a set of tires. They've only got 1 set of pit roads. You got to use it at a smart time. Most of those drivers aiming for stage number 2.
Stage 2 would put them just a little over halfway from the finish. That's a long way to go on 1 set of tires, which is why you're going to see some of these guys that are normally fast and very aggressive possibly just kind of laying back a little bit, Sam, and taking it easy on those tires.
Picking and choosing wherever they feel like it's going to be the safest for themselves. As right now, watching the 38, that of Matthew Brinson, as well as Steele Langford ahead of him and Drew Cox behind. His 38 certainly is a driver. Again, with the fact that we had the invert, given the drivers that didn't qualify as strong with their pace for just that 1 lap speed, certainly doing a decent job of sticking together here in the first 11 laps here at Myrtle Beach.
Yes, they are. I just saw a great scratch, or however you say. How do you say his last name? The 9.
It's gonna be Gratz.
Gratz. Okay, Gratz got really loose just then off of 2 that last time by. So we'll keep an eye on him right here as he goes back down, cross star finish back into 1 and 2 again. I couldn't tell if he hit the turtle or not, but he was wicked loose.
I know right there. Saw Steele Langford bouncing off the turtle just slightly up into the 66. Crier's got to be careful not to get any more contact. And seeing Steele Langford and the 33 machine, not surprised. I think 33 has been the number this season. If you're running either a triple digit or if you're like that of Justin Brooks, just a 33 in general, you've been looking good and fast all season long. I know that of Brett Suggs was another driver running 33 that was very strong in the early portions of this season. Steele Langford hoping to have a little bit of that magic here tonight as Alex Gratz tries to hold on as we find ourselves 14 laps in to this 200 lap race. Drivers starting to pick and choose where they want to go, and right there going to be a pass Alex McCullum over that of Drew Cox in the 98.
Well, right now McCullum is showing just a little bit of aggression, not much, but if he sees a car that he's faster than for a couple laps, he's going to make the move, he's going to ground him. So now he's got his sights set on the 16 of Mombercat, and well, we know that these two, they have a little bit of history, don't they, Sam?
That they do. I mean, they've been aggressive. They've raced respectfully for most of the season. There's been a couple of times where Mombercat has gotten the best of Alex McCullum, and I think for McCullum, he wants to find a couple of races where he's gotten the upper hand over the 16, but it's been Mombercat. It's been a lot more patient and consistent driver over the season, but you can tell that 8 trying to figure out how to pick and choose, get underneath Mombercat. Mombercat just giving enough space for hope for Alex McCullum, but plenty of space to defend and hold on for that positioning.
Give him the hope, take it away. Psychological games work here, Sam.
I mean, isn't that the way you're supposed to attack? Always mentally attack these drivers so you get a little bit frustrated, make mistakes, and keep yourself cool, calm, and collective and move forward. But at the same time, play too many games, you might get pushed around. And I think that's where we're going to be seeing these drivers come to the end of these stages. How aggressive are they going to be? Because at the end of stage 1, it has been the most aggressive that we've seen a lot of these drivers until the last lap. When you're trying to go for the win, I think drivers know track position is going to be a major thing to have on these restarts, especially when it comes down to the choose cone for these drivers. Pick the inside, the outside. Drivers want to make sure they've got the best track position possible coming to the end of this stage, especially with, I'm going to jinx it probably by saying it, but us staying green for 19 laps so far.
Staying green for 19 laps so far. Hey, Wesley, you still there?
Certainly am. Very impressed with these drivers right now, John and Samuel, for the time being, just taking it easy, getting in position, getting in line. Typical November Myrtle Beach 400, my friend. Just knock off laps and get there to the end of the race.
And Wesley, you talked about patience for these drivers for how long this race is. We're now finding ourselves 10% down from this race, still 90% to go. How do you think these drivers might be thinking about this run so far, on the fact that we still have a lot of racing to go?
So you mentioned that the race has the stages, the 255 lap segments up to lap 110 to the third and final stage, 90 laps to the checkered flag. I really think that the drivers on the racetrack right now are just pacing themselves. They're just making laps, logging laps. But it's not just that. They're seeing how far they can push that car to the limit. Where's the best positioning on the racetrack? Whether they need to run the high side, run the bottom, change up things from one section of the corners from 1 to 2 to 3 and 4 and more. And as we move into closer to halfway of the race, then I believe we're going to start to see that, you know, non-patient factor come into play. Then we're going to start to see these drivers making the moves to try to come to the front and be there in contention to win. Right now, they're doing a great job. John, Samuel, we've covered many Crown Jewel E-Late Model Stock Car races that were wreckfest right out of the gate. This is probably the best starting send-off I've seen them do all year.
It truly is. That's so true. And John, I got to say, though, this race, Justin Brooks, he's gone. And I think that sandbag that he did, getting the better positioning from qualifying, it's helped him out.
Yes, it has. And I want to touch a little bit more on what Wesley just said. Another thing to keep in mind, guys, is with the dynamic track conditions that iRacing instilled last year, this track will actually build up rubber just like in real life. And Wesley, have a car out of shape and finished off right there.
That's going to be Cryer, who's going to be spinning around for the 66. Got circled up and facing the right direction. We continue to stay green, but adamant say, let's throw the yellow. And I think that's just trying to calm these drivers down. Those that got the worst contact out of that, though, Drew Cox, as well as Alex McCullum, making contact with the 66 after being spun around. And all the looseness during qualifying, and right there, drivers getting longer into this run, that loose sensation kicking in, bringing out our first official on-track yellow of the evening on lap 26 as the drivers are pacing around. I mean, got to see it directly on screen there, John. I mean, I think, if anything, drivers are starting to feel like, all right, it's time to make this pass now. That Brooks is getting too far ahead.
Well, it's still early, too, though, Sam. I mean, and like I was saying, the more rubber you put down on the track, and we're going to see that. You'll actually see the rubber come in on the track, the slicker it's going to get. Now, granted, the temperature right now is only 81 degrees on track, but still, all that used rubber is going to start affecting the way these guys drive. You might see the outside line, especially with 200-lap race, you might see that outside line start to work itself in a little bit.
And also want to give a little bit of a report. We started officially on this race with 16 drivers on track, but because of the fact that some drivers actually didn't even start or make it to the grid, some drivers have come in late, that being Peyton Howell, coming in 22 laps down, got reconnected in the server and hit the 0.52. It's going to be back out on track, see how many wave rounds he's going to get as he gets at least one, back to 21 laps down. It is going to be the 0.52.
There's always hope, right, Sam?
Yeah, there's always, if we get a lot of yellows coming out and not a lot of drivers go a lap down, you got a chance. You got a chance for yourself. As on track, we're going to test it out again. The last couple of weeks, we've missed out on the choose car. Race Control, who we got to see during our LCQ event. Well, we're going to see the one back out on track. That is going to be your choose car. If you have to make the decision before you run into the head of the one, either go high or go low, whatever position you go down into, that is the lane you're going to be starting on this restart.
I have missed the choose car. I really have.
I think some of these drivers might have missed the choose car. They might have liked the fact the choose car was gone because some of the drivers were running into the choose car. That's why they had to take it away. But as we're going to be seeing these drivers pick and choose, we want to go high or low. We're going to bring Wesley back in. Wesley, I know the choose, decision, you choose cone in reality, something that short track drivers use a lot. How do you feel about us having a choose car for the drivers here for the E-Late model?
I love the choose car. It wasn't there at the race last week. I was like, what in the world? Where's it at? I love the choose car. I think it's something unique. I think it's something that, we've never really have seen on the iRacing simulators before. It makes it fun. It makes it exciting. What is this guy doing? This is the third time that this car has passed the pace truck. You only get one wave around. You only get one lap back,
no, man.
okay? He's trying to get 3 laps back.
And hey, I want to throw something out there real quick. Cody, the next time we have a restart, you should put it on the gearbox camera for the choose car because, man, that is a great shot. I was in the server just now, and I had the gearbox camera chosen. Man, that's watching these guys come straight at you is crazy.
And that driver that was being spun around, that was Peyton Howell again, who missed the start of the race. He was 22 laps down. He's now 19 laps down. He's going to need a couple of yellows to get back onto the lead lap, or at least 1 lap down. Pace truck is up. We made our decisions. It's time to go green as we're starting lap 32 against each one. Conclusion of lap 55, and drivers starting to get aggressive. Some taking advantages of the choose, and that's Alex McCullum, who's going to be on the outside trying to make the pass for that 3rd place.
McCullum making the pass for 3rd place. Brooks still in lead right there, but Langford up there in the 133. You talked about earlier, Sam. That number combination 3-3 seems to be working for these guys.
As they continue to race on, Alex McCullum, gotta say, trying to make that outside line work as he's gonna have that of Gratz on the inside for the 9. Then he's also gonna have Dustin Monbriquette and that of Brinson gonna be on the tailpipes of the gate on the outer groove. The 2 white machines gotta be careful not to make too much contact as they're rubbing off one another out of turn 4, back at it in the entry of turn 1.
Down through turn 1, we got the 9 side by side with that's gonna be Gratz. Side by side with McCollum out there, the 8 car right behind him. You got Monbriquette at 16. We gotta watch Monbriquette, man. He's shown just a little bit of aggression that first 30 laps or so.
Monbriquette with the decision as Gratz moves up, makes more contact. They're still running off one another. Talked about the suspensions and the updates that have been placed in over this week and all the updates on iRacing. Got to be careful of that much contact against one another, especially if they make it even harder as Alex McCullum able to get by the 9 of Gratz, and here comes Dustin Monbriquette to the inside of the 9, trying to push that Gratz even further back through the field. But now McCullum's got himself a little bit of clean air. He can now attack his Gratz into the wall, and they're shuffling from 5th on back.
Gratz into the wall caused a big, not pileup, but a little bottleneck right there. So now these guys are all kind of just nose to tail, and man, I think I see somebody trying to make it, the 09 of Teal trying to make it 3 wide back here. Oh, Teal, he's loose. He's loose right there.
It's loose, hits the 9. Gratz gets pushed up, losing multiple positions as they continue to race on as Alex McCullum, he starts to close in on our front runners. Our top 3 starting to close in. I gotta say, John, that was about 2 or 3 different opportunities of some big wrecks striking through the middle of the field.
There really was. I'm surprised that we're still green, to be honest with you. In the meantime, up front, you remember Brooks kind of stepped out earlier on the initial start of this race. Right before we had that caution there, was out about 1.5 seconds. Well, look, Langford says, no, sir, that's not going to happen right now. Langford right there on the back bumper of Justin, causing Justin maybe to watch out of his mirror a little bit, just a driving mirror here, Sam.
And also, you got to be thinking for that of Justin Brooks, maybe expecting this race to stay a little bit longer in the green flag action with building up that big of a lead. Could have been over aggressive on the tires and too abrasive on them to where Brooks could be a sitting duck for that of McCullum and Langford, but at the same time, Alex McCullum really had to work on that outer lane to get by that of Gratz. I'm curious on what the 8's tires are looking like as he's closing in our front runners. He's gotten the tires to close in, but does he have the tires to make the pass for 2nd and 1st?
Well, the 2 tires that count the most here on these short tracks, right front and right rear. And the way he was sliding that back end around, I know he warmed that right rear up a little bit, but it looks like it's not really phasing him at all. So right now we watch him really up underneath the 33 car of the 133 of Langford, trying to make that inside move. Sam, boy, it's about to get hot right here, hot and spicy.
And Langford going to allow that 133 to push up into the outside wall, trying to get a better run on the front stretch, and it works out, able to clear into turn number 1. But you can see that damage on Alex McCullum, involved with our one and only on-track incident, bring out a yellow. And he's trying to deal with that damage as well as just use his raw pace to close in on Langford and make the pass. And you make one attempt at a pass for Langford, and then it doesn't work. Gotta take about 4 to 5 laps, reset, try it again, and get back into that rhythm, and that's what we're seeing right now. And McCullum, he's starting to make that move, and you can just get that sensation here, John. He's about to set up for this pass.
You know, on most stock cars, that right rear damage where that spoiler's pushed back towards the window would actually make this car a little bit looser. So I'm wondering if it's not helping McCullum out.
Continue to fall back. Here's a couple of other drivers that are having some good runs. This is going to be the 09 of Austin Teal, who we saw start up front on that second place position on our front row. He dropped all the way back to 10th place after that first initial yellow, gained up a couple of positions because of all the contact, then also gained spots after the choose. He decided to go take the outside, and a lot of people went on the inside, gained about 3 positions. Done a great job just settling in 6th place has been Teal.
Yeah, Teal finally got his car to settle down a little bit there. It's not quite so out of control as it was. Most of that probably just coming from the wall connections he was making there. In the meantime, we got a nice fight now up here. McCullum has finally got on the inside of Langford. He's going to push him down into the wall, and he's going to take that spot.
It'll be causing Langford to back out and hold off for now as we're closing in close to the end of our stage. And Wesley, Alex McCullum, certainly a name that we always talk about in short track racing on the virtual side, but certainly always a driver and a threat at every track we go to.
New Jersey's Alex McCullum competes now in late models, cut his teeth from the Bandoleros and Legends up in the first state of New Jersey. And now seeing what he can do now in that number 8 machine. A little damage on the back spoiler of the car as you're watching, but there's a throwback to that car, Samuel and John. That's a throwback to Hendersonville, Tennessee's Josh Berry, who for the longest time was in the green and red iRacing colors of that car. Well, there was a throwback race. All Things Automotive was involved in that, and that's where that wrap job comes. Obviously, you know, McCullum changes up the graphics on their cars they wish with their own sponsors and insignia, but that is where that throwback color comes from. But I mentioned you guys someone else too. Justin Brooks, look at him right now. A native out of McCall, South Carolina. Been to Myrtle Beach many times. How special would it be if he could make history with the Crown Jewel E-Late Model Stock Car Series and win? Right now, he has been the dominator on lap 50.
Been looking good. Oh, yeah, John.
I didn't mean to step on your hand. Go ahead, buddy.
No, I mean, I was just going to say Dustin Momrick at 16. He's climbed his way back. He's now caught up to the tail end of our top 3.
Well, all I was going to say is there's a lot of guys in there right now that are from that area that wish they could have done some laps on the real Myrtle Beach. They just didn't get the chance to, so they have to settle for the sim racing version of it, which is still just as good in my opinion. And I got to imagine Brooks is one of those guys. To get a victory at Myrtle Beach is probably something he dreamt of as a kid.
I would imagine a lot of these drivers, you think of home tracks, you always want to be able to say, I won there. I was a driver that was so strong, able to get a win. And for Justin Brooks, certainly wants to find himself back in victory lane. He's been looking strong for the majority of this season. From race 1 to now, always has been a threat to go for a top 3 finish each and every week. And Dustin Momrick, he's also been looking good. Steele Langford, though, very inconsistent we've seen from Steele Langford. Some races, he's looked strong and been up front, looking like a threat. Other races, he'll fall back, have a long days, but somehow still finishing with the top 10 finish for the 133. And that looks like it's going to continue to be in this type of realm as Justin Brooks coming out of turn number 4. The white flag of stage number 1 is up. And now the 33 of Justin Brooks. Great qualifying for positioning for himself. And now the game is on. Coming out of turn number 2. It's all about how this next restart will go because Alex McCullum, Dustin Momrick, they've worked their way through this field. They're now going to be right on the 33's back bumper, but at turn 4, stage 1 goes to that of Justin Brooks.
Out of Justin Brooks, indeed, taking the stage 1 win. I still don't see the caution. There it is. Okay, I guess They were waiting
We
for
wait until
everybody
the
to
top
get across.
10.
Yeah. Well, we had that one week where they kept forgetting to throw the caution out. But so let's see who decides to try and take their first set of tires now. I still say it's a bit early to take tires, but you know, what do I know? I'm just an announcer, right?
Oh, when a driver spun around the 09 as we were slowing down to the end of this stage. We talk about drivers feeling like they're having issues. Well, for Acetil, I think he might be having some issues for himself. Just drove right into the inside wall, and getting also that of Kendrick Cryer going to be involved with a late incident. The 66 just can't catch a break here tonight, and also going to be the 38. Brenton was going to get involved with that incident.
Austin, he's a victim of the magnetic wall. That's what that is, man. That's I guess you call it a glitch, man. It got me a couple of times in that league race we had in practice. You get too close to that inside wall for some reason, and it literally just grabs you and stops you. It's insane.
Also looks like for these drivers, I went and rewatched that. It looked like he might have touched the inside grass that's just barely there on the exit of turn 4 and grabbed that inside wall. As for these drivers, looks like the 50 is Scott Bryant going to be the only driver to decide to come into pit road for himself, and also racing around this course, trying to get every lap back as possible. Going to be that of Peyton Howell, who's currently 17, about to be 16 laps down once we get rolling. And I expected, and Acetil does come into pit road for the 09 as they continue to race on. John, I mean, this race been all that Justin Brooks, but Alex McCullum, that of Marquette, they're now going to be in the picture here to watch out for as well. Driver we haven't talked about a lot, but also coming through, that of Blake Neer, going to be another driver that's going to be a driver to watch out for. As you see that of the one, that's our choose car, slowly creeping in and waiting for the one to go.
Oh, I hope we get the gearbox shot, because it's so cool to watch the cars coming straight at you when they're doing the choose. But yeah, Blake Neer, somebody we have not talked about a whole lot the last couple of weeks. Right now, sitting in the top 5. I bet that we watch him tonight. He's probably going to do everything he can to hold on to that top 5.
Yeah, Blake Neer, a driver we haven't talked about, mainly because he hasn't shown up. Has not been a driver that's been on our window to watch out for, as you see here on our rear decklet cam, and there they come. Got to make your decision. Where are you going to go? High, low, hit the car. You hit the car, you get yourself penalized, and it's happened a lot in the early portions of the season. And there it is.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. And that's why we took the choose car away for the longest time, was because of those
Alexander
instances.
Rose smacked it.
And had to take the toe was the one. Couldn't get rolling after that hit. And now Rose got to deal with the damage and a couple of other drivers as we got the one to go for the cars. And we'll see if the choose car comes back next week.
Probably not. I'm guessing. That's too bad, man. Come on, guys. Come on.
If anything, just slow down. You don't have to go so fast.
I mean, there's no reason to be all excited like that. Well, here we go. Sam, bring us back to green, buddy.
Pace truck is off. It's time to go rolling here for stage number 2 of the Myrtle Beach 400 for that of the Crown Jewel Elite Late Model Stock Car Series. Race number 8. We're green, and it's Justin Brooks with a great launch for himself. Alex McCullum gets clear, but it's side by side for that of the battling for 3rd and for 5th.
Wow, look at that. Near is 14 on the car, but 1 on the scoreboard. He's hanging tough on the outside right there. I wonder if he's got a Bud Light in the right hand and the steering wheel in the left. What do you think?
We don't promote, drinking and driving, but some drivers, you never know what they're going to be doing out there, as Still Langford hoping that he can hold off for Neer as best that he can. But certainly, you would hope that you'd have both steering wheels on while you're driving. I mean,
both hands on the wheel, yeah. I tell you what, Neer in the far lane, see what I did there? Looking great on the outside. I told you that outside was going to start coming in. Maybe not quite where it needs to be just yet, but the fact that he can hang on that spot right there on the outside line should tell you everything you need to know, that line's going to start coming in the further into this race we get, Sam.
The big thing for Neer, he is getting extremely out of shape on the entry and exit of these corners, and that's why he's not been able to clear for this position number 3. He is certainly getting the nose, but Langford's only able to hold off for now because the 14's just so loose, and he's got to be careful. Again, these drivers have not pitted for tires. They've been out here on the same set, now a little bit more rubbing off of one another, and Langford is the only reason Neer hasn't spun around.
Langford is really nervous, I'm sure, right now. He's just hoping, okay, let me clear this guy right here So Langford gets by. There goes Mombriquette on the inside. I think Neer's just trying to get down now. He just wants to get down the inside, but can't seem to find a hole. Finally gets down the inside right there. You can take a breather and relax a little bit here.
Hold off and take off once again. But Blake Neer's got to be careful on those tires. And Wesley, I think that's going to be a big thing for these drivers all tonight. They know that all these drivers, they're waiting for that final stage to take tires on when they're going to take it. And stage 2 is the end of stage 2 is the only time they could take them. Man, how do you think they're going to be able to respond as we're starting to see drivers struggling?
Well, and the thing is you're setting yourself up now in this second stage. You're pushing your car to the limit now. And what I say by that is you're moving 70 laps into this race. Some cars have pitted, those in the back. But if you're up in the front, it's Gratz the most dirt-tracked. And I'm telling you, Samuel and John, that's because they're using their tires up. It's making the cars have handling issues, especially in the corners.
And it is getting wild. And John, I mean, we're already starting to see a couple of drivers already showing signs that those tires are gone. But, I mean, for the front runners, our top 4, they're still looking smooth as ever. For the middle of the field, where we're seeing right now that 57 and 52, that of Chase Johnson and Ruggles, they continue to keep themselves just trying to stay as neat and tidy as possible.
I love the paint job on the 57. It's so retro, you know? And I'm guessing that's going to be actually the 83 of Johnson, correct?
That is.
Yeah. It's a great-looking car. I love the retro look. But, yeah, man, these guys...
Hey, John.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I got another one for you, a throwback. I'm gonna ask Samuel as.
Oh.
Okay. So, as I was saying, that 9 car of Gratz, probably using some dirt tracking skills there, Sam. It looked like the way he was sliding through that turn. I'm guessing he was using a lot of throttle to keep that car kind of under control, but while it was out of control. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was using as much throttle control as possible to make sure that thing is not getting completely out of shape for himself. But up front, trying to keep themselves in control. That's what we're seeing for our front 2. As Justin Brooks hasn't felt the competition for most of the night. Well, it is there now. Alex McCollum is closing in late. Burns starting to lose a little bit of pressure up front, but it's all on our leaders for that of Justin Brooks. We'll see what defensive moves he's going to be able to put on this 8 machine, or does Alex McCollum decide to finally use the chrome horn this early on in the race?
Yeah, but we're still, 35 laps away from the next stage break. How aggressive does McCollum want to be trying to get by Brooks for the lead? It's not the lead that counts right now. It's the lead that counts at the, we got a car around. It's the 9 car.
No surprise, Alex Gratz gets spun around. Issues for himself, was already showing signs those tires were gone for himself, and it's looped around. Is going to be the 9 machine, bringing out another yellow here this evening. Going to be our second on-track incident. Here's a replay of it. The big thing to watch out here for that of Gratz, I don't think he got spun around by himself. Watch out for the 09. Here's the initial off the wall, and John Teal tried to get a little bit aggressive on the inside.
Yes, he did. A little bit of contact there. Oh, wow, a lot of bit of contact. You know, there's a saying, Sam, I said it last week, 8 wheels are better than 4 unless you're the outside pair of 4. And we just saw that right there.
And as well as the drivers are getting set, incident going on for that of Justin Brooks. He has just decided to just come to a complete halt, which has put him in the back half of the field. He's finally gotten rolling again, but I'm curious if he's going to be able to get all those positions back for sitting just there for as long as he did. As up front, it's Alex McCollum leading the way as our usual parade driver on the outside, that of Peyton Howell, going to be able to try to get another lap back because he's currently 13 laps down, as Justin Brooks looks like he is allowed to get his laps back.
Austin Teal was given a EOL penalty for that contact he had back there with the 9 car. I'm not sure what happened to Brooks. Maybe we get in touch with him. Is there a way we can't talk to them under caution because they're not in the yeah, okay, never mind. I'm sorry. I was going to say maybe we could talk to him, see what's going on down there, but then I realized they don't come into Discord until the race is over, so never mind.
Well, we'll talk to our actual drivers, though, after this race for the post-race show. We'll talk to our top 3 and get them up into the booth as, again, after the checker flag's over, they'll be leaving here on LSRTV. We got the post-race show talking to the drivers after the race, analyzing how the race went, as well as preparing you for next week and the races to come throughout the week. here on LSR TV. It's up front, still down Justin Brooks, Alex McCullum getting rolling, and it might have been just a little bit of hey, I need to pause for a second, I'll be right back. And not losing any positions is that of Justin Brooks, but like you noted, as we are having the choose car, and who'll be the next driver or next victim of hitting the one machine, as that of Alexander Rowe, who did run into the one, his day's done. Blew the engine and is no longer able to run, is the 92.
Wow, that was an odd place for the choose car, though. Don't they normally put it on the front stretch?
Well, they've been doing the back stretch so that the choose car has time to get back into pit road.
Oh, okay.
Because if it was just a normal cone, they would do the front stretch coming to the one to go, and then they would get lined up, but they do the coming to the one to go, so the one and choose car can get off
why
track.
I thought he was on the back stretch.
Well, he was just sitting there, throwing his, just sit. I mean, I think it was the fact that he was sitting in the middle of the back stretch and not in the later half of it, as the pace truck is off, ready to get rolling. It's going to be that of Justin Brooks, Alex McCullum, side by side, ready to go. And there goes 33. Langford's going to be on the inside. That's going to be seen as well. That of Near going to be in that second row. And it's going to be Dustin Mauberket stuck back in battling for fourth place. 16, just not able to get into a better positioning for himself.
No, he's not. 16's kind of duking it out. He's got that car on the outside, though. And what that does to you is it doesn't let you feed your car out, as wide as you want. When you watch the guys up in front of him, as soon as the exit corner there, Sam, they're able to feed that car out towards the wall and build up momentum. He's not able to do that, so he's not able to clear that guy either. It's kind of a catch-22.
You're trying everything that you can, and nothing just wants to work out perfectly for yourself. And it's up front. Going to be that of Justin Brooks. Biggest mover of the day is going to be that 8 machine of Alex McCullum, and then other big movers, Dustin Mauberket up 7 positions, and also Chase Johnson in the 57 on track, 83 on our ticker. He's also up 7 positions, tied with our second biggest mover of the day.
Yes, he is, and I tell you what, he's looking real good right now. It looks like he's got the speed to maybe get up to the bumper of the 14 car there, but just not quite fast enough to get by him.
And some of our biggest losers of the day, the 66 of Kendrick Cryer, are going to be back in 14th, down 10 positions. And Austin Teal and Alex Gratz, who were involved in our last incident, both going to be down 9 positions. Both of them going to be tied for our second biggest loser, who brought out our most recent yellow. And who knows, the way they're racing, they might bring out another one.
I tell you what, that I don't know what number car that was that you showed us right before this with Cody, but the car was frowning. Definitely not a happy car. It looked like he'd been hitting the front, the back, and both sides.
Yeah, that was the 66 of Pryor, who's been involved, especially in our first wreck of the day, got spun around, and then under pacing of that same wreck, ran into the 9 and with even more damage. So, yeah, Pryor has had a poor start to this event for stage 1. Stage 2, more of a survival game, and just hope that he can make it to the end of the day, as it's the battling to the end, back half of the field. But gotta say, for other drivers that are running up front, still McCullum rides on the tailpipes of the 33, but just waiting and seeing. I think, if anything, trying to see if there's any openings for later on in the race. Yeah,
I tell you what, McCullum's it looks to me like he's just kind of riding behind Brooks right now, just kind of sizing him up, seeing what he can do, where he might be able to get by him at. Real quick note, Peyton Howell was 24 laps down. He's gotten 13 of those laps back already.
It helps when you've got cautions that allow you to just pace around. As everyone else is going at pace speed, you're still going at max speed, trying to get those laps back, and continues to run on. Looking at our timer, looking at our ticker board, though, driver that just lost a lot of laps, that of Cameron Ruggles. He's in some trouble for the 52, it looks like, as up front, those drivers continue to stay single file, but Ruggles, you can see that right side damage there, John. It is looking bad for the 52, but he continues to look decent speed, holding off that of Bryant in the 50.
Yeah, but I guarantee you that hitting the wall is going to tighten that car up. He's probably look out. We got a wreck on the backstretch.
And that's Teal gets on the back bumper of that of Bryant, as well as other drivers. Gratz gets involved, as well as the 49 of Roth. All get collected in the rear end.
There's that broken suspension I was talking about, Sam. Look at him.
He's crab walking, as well as other drivers get what we call the meatball flag. Is that O'Brien's going to hope that he can get it to pit road. Here's a replay of it. Watch out for the 09 of Teal on the back bumper of the 50. They're going to be very close to one another. comes in aggressive into the inside and gets back into the throttle as Teal, while Bryant hits the turtles, gets them loose, overcorrection, and hard contact for both. Rats makes the finishing blow.
Oh.
And I think that initial contact with Teal might have been what initiated that suspension being broke, and that second blow certainly did not help either.
No, his night's probably going to be done. That's a lot of extensive damage right there. Definitely some required damage. And like you said, Gratz got damage from that. Ruggles, I mean, everybody kind of got a piece of that right there. That was all back there in that crowd we were watching. In the meantime, up front, I don't know, man. You think it's too early to? Well, they can't take tires on there, can they? No, that's right. Okay.
Drivers can come into pit road, though, if they do have damage. That's the only reason that you can come into pit road, or if you'd like to get fuel. But you cannot take tires underneath just normal pacing laps or within normal cautions. Only times you can take tires is at lap 55 stage break and lap 110 stage breaks. Those are the only two times that you can take tires. If you take tires at any other point of this race, you will be given an EOL at the end of the race, or even just given a penalty immediately after being seen that you took tires when you were not supposed to. 3 drivers did get required damage from that incident. We saw that of Scott Bryant being the crab walking 50 machine, as well as Austin Teal in the 09 and the 49 of Charles Roth. Those 3 drivers have required damage. What we call a meatball flag. It is a black flag with an orange circle in the middle. And when you are given that flag, it means you have to enforce to come into pit road. Otherwise, you will be disqualified from the race. And looking like for that of Alex Gratz, he is going to be called a night. He's going to be added with Drew Cox and as well Alexander Rowe into pit road, as we're choosing where they want to go.
And I'm really surprised with the choice to be outside by Justin Brooks. It worked for him last time, but I don't think he's going to catch McCollum sleeping this time.
Going to be the biggest thing. Can you catch these drivers sleeping? As I mean, if Alex McCollum gets a good launch, he could find himself really have an opportunity to try to go for this lead position. As you saw there, Peyton Howell goes around another time. He's now down to 7 laps down. Is 0.52, with more drivers being completely knocked out of this race, could be getting the lucky dog once more.
Yeah, and I mean, if he keeps, and we know we have a stage break coming up, another caution coming up, so he could actually, with maybe one more caution, end up back on the lead lap and actually fighting for some great position. That's kind of a feel-good story, isn't it?
It's got to be a feel-good story. With being so many laps down and now closing in to be on the lead lap, you love to see it, but the field is shrinking with some of these big contacts as we're down to just 8 drivers looking. Go to 2.
Oh,
Contact,
wow.
massive wreck, and going to be collecting more drivers, and that's a driver that you thought should not have been up there. No yellow is going to be thrown, and now it will, but that is a driver that most likely should not have been in that positioning. He had required damage. Because some drivers got an all clear, it took that required damage away from Teal, allowed him to stay up front. Heavily damaged 09, gets more drivers, more damage.
But he wasn't even there at first. He just appeared. Like I don't know what happened there. I mean, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he was phasing through people, and then
it looked like his connection was just crazy, man.
And with that incident, he should be removed, but there is a giant issue with a lot of these drivers. And
we've lost 3-4 cars now because of connection issues.
Yeah, there is a giant server issue that just struck. We went from having about that of 12 drivers now down to 6 drivers on the lead lap when we initially had that of 12 still on the lead lap. So giant issue just struck for these drivers. We're waiting on that of Bradley Wilson, Matthew Bryson to get back into the session. Also Cameron Ruggles to try to get back into the session. Oh, you hate to see this, John, but whenever it's the week after week 13, some of these struggles can strike these servers, and it looks like server issues have struck in once again. As a lot of drivers multiple laps down, this could be an extended pit road for these.
Will they extend the caution, do you think, Sam?
They have to. They have to extend it, especially with the amount of drivers that were just knocked out. If they don't, this is certainly going to be an awkward end to this race. But with the laps counting, this is probably going to take us to the stage if we continue to just let ourselves pace. Driver that's loving this, Payne Howell, he's now 4 laps down.
there's no red flag either, so he doesn't have to worry about that. He can just keep getting his laps back. I mean, I'm happy for him. Don't get me wrong. I've been in that situation where a technical issue or something like that has prevented me from getting on track when I'm supposed to. But I'm not the guy that gets that lucky. I'm still like 20 laps down, later on. So good for him, man. Good for him.
As the drivers continue to pace on, hey, we're halfway through. Wesley, I know you've been watching this race pretty closely, as well as watching it with us. Halfway through this race, we're coming to the end of stage 2. Any surprises that you've been seeing here tonight?
Yeah, a lot more cautions in the last 25 laps. And why is that? Because aggression's picking up and the tires are worn out.
That's going to be the big thing to watch out for, especially on this last run here, John, is whose tires are still left. And as well, with this little shootout we're going to be having with drivers trying to reconnect, get back onto the lead lap, this is going to be an awkward, most likely when we go green, 5 laps, maybe 3 laps to go once we get everyone sorted in the positioning they're supposed to be in.
Yeah, and we've got guys that are signing back into the server right now they just extended it 2 more laps. Okay, they're getting signed back in, getting back in their cars, trying to get back on the lead lap that they were on prior to the ejection due to internet connection issues. So they're going to, like you say, extend this little caution out. But the question is if we do extend into the stage break, oh my gosh, my brain just froze on me, Sam. I'm sorry.
How are they going to give out the tires? I think that was where you're going with that. I don't know how they're.
Yeah,
it's one of those weird scenarios where they're going to push it out, where it's going to be very close to our stage 2 break. And there's going to have to be a decision made by the admins of, all right, we're going to just do a 3-lap shootout, then we're going to go into their stage break and you can get your tires. Or there might have to be a decision of, okay, well, whatever the next yellow after this one, then you can take your tires. Yeah,
because they're still extending the I'm in the server right now. They're still extending the caution period out to get all these guys caught back up, which, don't get me wrong, I'm glad they're doing that, because it's a very unfortunate thing when conditions beyond your control affect the race. We don't want that. The fans don't want that. The people watching don't want that. The drivers definitely don't want that. It's just when it happens this close to an important stage break, man, that just throws all kind of questions up in the air.
And there were a lot of drivers also already out of this race. So we should be back to 11 drivers on the lead lap, which also, John, hey now, should be back on the lead lap by the time that we get all this sorted out. So the 052, who missed the starting grid, started out 22, 24 laps down around that window.
Oh, look out!
Oh no, into our leader. What is going on? Brooks, even more going down below. This is chaos, pandemonium, and now Justin Brooks has to deal with damage.
Yeah, he got hit pretty hard there. Oh boy.
Oh, and just getting a report that they are going to stay under yellow until everyone is back.
They're still wrecking on the track, man, behind the leaders.
And we might have just lost more drivers. We did. Same drivers that just had issues get knocked out. That of Bradley Wilson, also Brinson knocked out of the server, as well as more contact going to be given to the one of Blake Neer as the driver that I believe just blew their way through. I mean, all the drivers, pandemonium keeps on striking, but John, we're losing drivers once again.
Sam, what I'm seeing inside the server is some of these guys, their connection's dropping out, so they're just staying in a straight line, and unfortunately they come right back inside of a car. I've seen that twice now on track in the server. Man, I can't. It's over. Okay.
And the race is officially done. We get past halfway. Issue strike. Justin Brooks, with the way that this race was going to be given the win. It's not the way we wished it would have gone. Alex McCullum, you could tell, would be frustrated by the way that this race went. But man, Ace truck is going off, and they're going to take off. But this race, certainly, this is not the way we wanted this race to finish out here tonight.
Not at all. I feel bad for Brooks, McCollum, those guys. The ones that got damaged and all this chaos. It's just not the way you want it. But you know what? This is kind of like a rainout, right, Wesley? I mean, you've been in these things. You see what happens during rainouts.
I've not seen anything like this happen in iRacing since June of 2020 when Justin Prince, Greg Rentz, and myself were at Darlington with the Northwest Cup Series, and something of this caliber, Samuel Dyer, happened, and we kind of reminisce and talk about that story. But yes, it's kind of like a virtual rain delay. Now, they stuck it out. They red flagged the race. We were on a 50-minute delay. We were grabbing drivers, doing interviews, but honestly, I really don't know how long it's going to be till this can get fixed, so I think the right call was made. And how about it? The young man from McCall, South Carolina, Justin Brooks. I know it's a virtual win, but he's a winner at Myrtle Beach Speedway.
What a wild way for this to end out. Justin Brooks going to take the win, and we'll have our unofficial results, and they will be unofficial for sure, as there will be some changes on where they're going to be placed, especially with the way that everything went down here late. But Justin Brooks going to take the victory here at that of the Myrtle Beach 400. More of cut down by a lot, but unofficially your top 10 going to be that of Justin Brooks, Alex McCullum, and that of Steele Langford. Hey, stick with us. We'll talk to our top 3 after this, as well as we'll have that of Dustin Marquette, Peyton Howell, who somehow, with being 24 laps down, he'll get his back. He'll finish with the top 5 finish, as well as we'll have that of Chase Johnson, that of Blake Neer, Kendrick Cryer, who was involved with a lot of different wrecks at the Cry Face front hood. Well, he'll come away with the 8th place for the 66. That of Bradley Wilson and that of Matthew Brinson, who are having internet issues, 9th and 10th. Again, this is very much unofficial. We'll see where they lie next week when we get the official results. But, John, the rest of the field.
11th, Cameron Ruggles. 12th, Austin Till, who had a rough night tonight. He's going to look for a better week next week. 13th, Alex Gratz, another one with a rough night. Charles Roth, 14th. 15th, Scott Bryan, Alexander Rowe, Drew Cox, and Race Control, who was on track a few times getting run over as the Choose car. I will say this real quick, Sam. I'm getting word from some of my buddies that are either racing right now or doing league races. There is a iRacing-wide issue with servers right now.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Usually when this happens, it strikes everywhere and everyone. So we'll see how many. Luckily, we don't have another broadcast after this here tonight, but we hope this gets cleaned up for tomorrow night's racing action here. But we're going to break away. When we come back, we'll have our post-race show. What the drivers thought about how tonight's chaos finished out. We'll be back in just a few. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. A very awkward and weird ending to this race here for the Crown Jewel Elite Model Stock Car Series for race number 8 for the Myrtle Beach 400. We were not able to finish out the 200 laps here this evening, but we do have race control, that of Caleb Hall, up in the booth with us. Caleb, what is the final verdict and what happened out there on track?
Well, the final verdict is, I guess this is a virtual rain shower that's not going to go away. We had 5 or 6 drivers lose connection, and I mean, we can't just keep going like that and delaying the race. So we made it past halfway, so the race is official. I think we got 102 laps in. So Justin Brooks will be your winner with Alex McCollum in second and then Still Langford third. Nobody had planned on this, but I'm glad that we weren't the only ones experiencing this issue. So, I mean, I'm just glad that we found a resolution to this.
And we are as well. Thank you, Caleb, for giving us that clarification on how tonight went. So those will be your top 3, and we have the top 3 up in the booth with us. So with our normal post-race protocol that we do, we're going to start things off with that of Steele Langford. Steele, you got yourself, had to work your way through this field just a little bit to get up to 3rd place. But, man, how was your thoughts on those first 100 laps that we got to run here tonight?
Well, it was really fun. I thought we were having a great race, and I felt like me, Justin, Alex, Dustin, and probably Blake, we were probably going to have a good slugfest there at the end, and basically just tried to work my way up through the field there early, got up into 3rd, and was basically just riding, waiting to take tires and then start racing.
Oh, sorry, I was talking to my daughter. I tell you what, Steele, I have a question for you real quick. When you were battling with the 16, I think it was, of help me out, Sam, who was the 16?
Marquette.
Thank you. Yeah. What was going through your head? Because, I mean, you know, it looked like he was really aggressive for a couple of laps there.
Not really much. I really wasn't riding. I mean, I knew he was back there, but I mean, I wasn't like looking in my mirror or anything. I know Dustin's a good, clean racer, and especially as early in the race as it was, I knew it was going to be all right. But if he got a good run alongside of me, I was just going to let him go because, I mean, like I said, I felt like we were all still riding, but definitely no issues running with Dustin.
Well, Steele, a fabulous run on your part here this evening. We got 2 more races to go. How are you feeling about these next 2? Going to be at Martinsville and also that of Southern National.
Feel pretty good about them. Martinsville, I'll be okay there. I know Martinsville is it's a harder track to pass on in these cars just because you're basically just like wide open and then you're just slamming on the brakes, and it's really hard to set up runs. Southern National will be better. That's one of my better tracks, and hope to have a good run there.
Well, we cannot wait to see how those next races are going to go. Well, Steele, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, first off, I want to thank Cameron Ruggles for setting up this league for us and giving us the opportunity to come race on Wednesday nights. I want to thank Caleb Hall for building all our setups and for doing race control this season. I want to thank y'all for broadcasting. And then got to thank my sponsor, Fred's Race Engine Design in High Point, North Carolina. And just hope everybody has a good rest of the week.
As that will be the 133 of Steele Langford coming away with 3rd place finish here tonight at Myrtle Beach. Congratulations and good luck next week.
Yep, thank you.
As we know, now go down to 2nd place runner. That's going to be Alex McCullum. And Alex, I know that you had a very strong car. You qualified on the pole, had to work your way through this field. I know you came up 1 position shy, but how at least can you take any positives from this shortened race for yourself?
Oh yeah, throwing with Justin, Steele, and barbecued, it's always good. I knew the setup was gonna be good, fit my driving style. It was a little bit on the looser side, so that played in a factor with me being able to turn a little bit better. But overall, it was a really good night for the first half, I should say. I was not expecting for all that chaos there, but it was pretty good.
Alex, it's funny you mentioned being a little looser than normal. After the damage you got on that right rear with that spoiler being pushed in towards the window, and, you know, like the Xfinity, Cup car trucks like that, when you get that kind of damage, it loosens the car up. Was it the same way with the late model tonight?
Honestly, yes. I feel like it helped me on center rotation because I did free up just a tad when that happened, and it definitely helped me a lot because I could not drive a tight setup. But I'm just still, I don't know I'm trying to process what's going on still.
Well, overall, Alex, it was still a very strong run on your part, coming away with the second place finish. We got 2 more races. Same question that I asked out of Steel. How you feeling about these last 2 races of the season?
I feel good. Southern, I feel like a pretty good track for me, and then Martinsville is one of my best tracks. So, just gonna play the races one at a time and just see what happens.
Well, Alex, still a strong run for yourself. Like I said, really showed how you could carve way through that field. But before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
I gotta thank Ruggles for everything he does for this league, all the work he does. Caleb, you guys for broadcasting. It's always fun to come out on a Wednesday night and race with my friends. So, hopefully we can have more races or another season. It's always a blast to race here. I gotta thank JDR Graphics and LMR.
That's going to be number 8 machine of Alex McCullum coming away with a second place finish here tonight. Congratulations on that, and good luck going into next week.
Thank you.
As now we go to victory lane, we find that of Justin Brooks, who came away with a great qualifying run, qualified 12th, but because the invert gets the pole position to start this race off, and then from there just was dominating. Justin, I mean, first off, how was qualifying for yourself? And how do you keep on placing yourself in such a great position for qualifying?
Well, the boys back at the shop brought a great piece this week for qualifying. What can I say? But we played a strategy going for the invert again. I just feel like it's the best strategy going forward to keep myself out of trouble if I'm going for these points and all. And I think I had a shot at the pole, and I just let off, just like I said, to try to run a 9 or so. I kept having tabs on 12th place just to know what I need to run and all, and just keep myself around that bubble best I could. But we had, like I said, we had a great car tonight. When I got up front, it was rocket ship. Funny thing is before coming into the night, I've actually struggled here, like an official series racing and stuff, but I've been running the wrong line, and I figured it out right before qualifying, and I just fine-tuned it and just got used to it, and there at the end, it was paying off, be able to hold off Alex McCollum, who was coming hard.
You just said something I was going to touch on, Justin. The running line on Myrtle Beach is a very odd line, the fast way around here. Took you a while to figure it out then, huh?
Yeah, I was just arcing it way too much before, trying to drive it like you do in the SKs and stuff. And, I mean, you got to go down there and pretty much almost kiss the turtles going into 1 and all, and in turn 3, you got to kiss that inside wall pretty much. So I wasn't used to that. But like I said, once I got used to it, I mean, it was pretty fun. But it was hairy at times too, because like Alex touched on, the setup was loose. So if you just drove in there a hair bit too hard, you're about to spin it out.
I mean, Justin, got to say, you've been Mr. Consistent for most of this season. You're always up front, and you're always going to be a threat to watch out for. How about these next 2 races? How are you feeling about your confidence level to go for another win or just go for another good finish?
I definitely think we have a really good shot at Martinsville and Southern National. Southern National especially. I feel like Southern National is one of my best tracks in a late model stock car. I mean, it depends on the setup, but I have that place, I feel like, down packed. But Martinsville, I think, will definitely be good. Winning, I don't want to go say, oh, I'm going to win or anything like that. I just want to see. We got to see how the cards fall. I mean, it could be like tonight, and next thing you know, the server crashes out and I get run into or something like that, something crazy like that happen and blows my car up. You never know. But no, being serious, it's just all about staying out of trouble. So I'm going to try to do my best to play the invert again if I can at Martinsville and Southern National, keep it up front and try to get as many points as I can and try to go for this championship.
Well, we had a bunch of unknowns, but Justin, there is one thing we do know for sure, and that is the fact that you won here at Myrtle Beach here tonight. Congratulations, and have a great time celebrating this.
All right, thank you. I want to thank Cameron Ruggles, by the way, for having this pretty awesome league, and I want to thank Alex McCollum and Steele for racing me clean, and it was so much fun racing them guys.
That is going to be Justin Brooks in that of the 33 machine, coming away with the win here at the Myrtle Beach 400. Got cut short, but he still gets to victory lane. Congratulations, Justin, on this win, and good luck next week. As we get ourselves riled up and finished with this super odd night, John, I mean, not many words can explain this one, but certainly not the way we expected the night to come to a conclusion.
No, man, I'm just, it was great racing. Let's get that out front first and foremost. Great racing. Not a whole lot of over-aggressive driving. You had nobody really running away with the race like we've seen in the past, but what a weird way to end a race. I'm with Wesley on this one. I've been doing this a long time, and that's the strangest dang thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, you really never know when you're going to see these odd races come through, but we hope that the issues get cleaned up. And giving us a slight preview into next week, these late models go into that of Martinsville next week. Wesley, we got to see a shortened version of Myrtle Beach, but what are you expecting for us to see at Martinsville next week?
Well, in closing, to close out this race at Myrtle Beach, we didn't really get a chance to see any of that aggressive driving or the bump and runs or the things that we said were going to come because of what happened. But in Martinsville, paperclip, half mile, all bets are off. That's going to be an exciting race. And just as much as you saw somebody want to win like Justin Brooks from South Carolina here tonight at Myrtle Beach, everybody on the Crown Jewel E Late Model Stock Car Series has probably had this race circled on the calendar since it debuted. They want to win Martinsville. It's going to be fun to see who can get that virtual grandfather clock next Wednesday night.
That is going to also be the third and final race of the Virginia Triple Crown events, where Ryan Kuhn has won the past two. Can he go 3 for 3 for that of the Virginia Crown for himself? John, before we get done with tonight, what are some of your final thoughts here at Myrtle Beach, and what are you excited to see next week at Martinsville?
I'll tell you what, as somebody who's been to the Martinsville late model stock car races when I lived up in Virginia, it's going to be a fun race. I'm kind of jealous that Justin gets to come back in for these last two, but that's okay. I can still watch the YouTube presentation and look forward to watching you guys call it. It's going to be a great race, man. Great race.
We're excited for it. Tonight, it got cut in half, a little bit of errors and glitches coming up, but we do know that Justin Brooks got to victory lane, gets the win here for race number 8. Still got 2 more races to go this season. Again, got to give big thanks to that of John Mushin Jr. as well as Wesley Outland joining me up at the booth. My name is Sam Dyer here on LSRTV. It's been a pleasure to give you the coverage of short track racing action on Wednesday night. 2 more races left in the season for the Crown Jewel E Late Model Stock Car Series, that being Martinsville. Going to be next week, and then 2 weeks. It's going to be the last race of the season for that of the Southern National Motorsports Park 200. It's going to be a blast for these final 2 races. It's been incredible for these first 8 races of the season, but man, cannot wait. More racing action throughout the week. Going to be that of tomorrow. Going to be that of the Northwest Truck Series running at Gateway of that of the Worldwide Technology Raceway. Should be a good one then. We hope to see you Thursday night for the Northwest Truck Series. If we don't, we'll see you next week as we go to Martinsville, the last race of the Triple Crown Virginia event. Will Ryan Kuhn get 3 of 3? Got to find out. We'll see you then.